I have American Standard ACONT800 series thermostats in my home. One has quit working. I'm sure that it is the thermostat that has quit working and not the unit itself. I was told that the Honeywell VisionPro TH800 was compatible with the ACONT800. After purchasing a Honeywell TH800, I have found that the two thermostats are indeed very close. Both have 6 wiring positions on both sides, R and L. The wiring color diagram for the Honeywell matches the American Standard, except for the top wiring position on the right-hand side, as you look at the back of the unit. The Honeywell shows a pale blue wire connected to this position, while the American Standard has a metal clip connecting the top right position to the second right position, where a red wire is attached. All other wiring positions match between the two thermostats. The wiring package for the American Standard has no pale blue wire. So, I have wired the Honeywell identical to the AS. It does not work. What am I doing wrong? Columbiana, Alabama.
Hi Tom, I'm Brian and I'm here to help. Please give me a few moments to pull up the manuals for those two thermostats and I'll come back to help directly. Thanks, Brian. Tom, do you have the exact model number of both thermostats instead of just the series numbers? I just want to make sure my instructions are exact. Thanks, Brian.
Brian. In answer to your question regarding product model number, on the back of the Honeywell are the numbers, MAC ID, OOD02D2A2F17 product #TH8320WF1029 number located between the connection posts, 734730150841776 numbers on the back of the American Standard, ACONT803 is 32DAA number located between connection posts, 302,003,037,016 also a number TH8321U1022 is shown. No, this is more than you need, but to be safe I have listed all numbers shown. Let me know if this is not sufficient. Thanks. Tom.
Awesome. Thank you. These are basically the same thermostat. The American Standard one is just badged for American Standard and will have some different terminal markings and different firmware in it than the Honeywell. With all that said, I don't really understand what you mean by the pale blue wire. I think the easiest way to make the change is for you to tell me what color wire was on what terminal on your old thermostat, and then in turn I will tell you how to connect what color wire to what terminal on the new one. Or if you can upload a picture of the old thermostat wiring, that's all the info I need. I am very familiar with the American Standard / train heat pump wiring, so this isn't an issue for me. I know how the machines work. Thanks, Brian.
Brian. American Standard wiring, looking at the base plate is attached to wall Y2, black wire RC. RC is tied to R with a metal clip, which runs current on red wire to both RC and R. F, brown wire R, red wire X2, blank, O, orange wire W1, white wire Y, yellow wire S1, blank, G, green wire S2, blank, B, blue wire. When I received the Honeywell unit in the mail, it had very short colored wires attached to the connecting posts on the wall mounting bracket. That is what I have listed below. Honeywell wiring from base plate is attached to wall Y2, blank, RC, pale blue wire L, blank, R, red wire E/O, blank, OB, orange wire K, blank, Y, yellow wire S1, blank, G, green S2, blank, C, bright blue wire. In attempting to replace the American standard with the Honeywell, I have used the wiring shown for the American standard. Hope this helps. Tom.
Thanks for clarifying that, Tom. I think I might understand. Very committal there, huh? Just to make sure I understand this sentence, when I received the Honeywell unit in the mail, it had very short colored wires attached to the connecting posts on the wall mounting bracket. What were those very short colored wires connected to besides the terminals on the thermostat base plate? Nothing? Just short little wires? Was this a used or previously installed thermostat? Is that why there were wires there? Normally on any Honeywell thermostat new out of the box, the terminals are all empty save the little factory jumper between R and RC. I think this is throwing us both off.
Brian. The Honeywell unit was bought online, used. It came with colored wires, like I mentioned, connected to the terminals on the base plate. I assumed that the wires were there to show how the unit was previously connected. Tom.
Okay, thanks for that clarification, Tom. The first thing to do is forget about all those little wires. Remove them all and we will wire your system according to how your old thermostat was wired. Can I correctly assume you have a heat pump, hence the O connection, with a two-stage outdoor unit? In other words, the outdoor unit runs in both summer and winter and it either has two compressors or a high and a low speed, hence both the Y and Y2 connections. And further, can I also assume from the old wiring, white on W1, that you also have backup electric heat in your air handler for when it gets really cold out? These are all important factors when considering how to tell you to wire your new thermostat and how to program the installer setup options.
Brian. All your assumptions regarding my present unit are correct. The unit runs in both summer and winter. It has two compressors. It has a backup system to handle emergency heat situations. Tom. P.S. All the little wires are history.
Okay, now we're cooking with gas. I can now tell you exactly how to wire the new thermostat and how to program the setup options. I'll be right back with the wiring scheme.
Brian. It's 1:10 a.m. in the beautiful state of Alabama. I'll check you again first thing tomorrow. Thanks. Tom.
This is how you will wire the new thermostat. If you can remove the little metal jumper on RC2 or on your old thermostat, remove it and transfer it to your new one. If not, you can just use a tiny piece of wire as a jumper between RC and R on your new thermostat. That jumper is absolutely necessary. Now for the wires, red to or blue to C, orange to OB, white to E/O, green to G, yellow to Y, black to Y2, brown. Cut the stripped end off, bend 1/4 of an inch of the wire over on itself, wrap it with a couple of turns of tape and tuck it back into the hole in the wall. You will not use this wire. The new Honeywell L terminal does not work the same as the old F terminal. This is a/train thing and it's not necessary. The Honeywell does what the F terminal did with no need for a separate wire connected. Your system will work just as before. Don't confuse the old B terminal with the OB terminal. This is also a/train thing. The blue wire goes to C. Now you need to power the thermostat up. If it prompts you to set the date and time, do so. Then you need to go into the installer setup program and most likely make some changes. If you want to follow along, in the manual I have this starts on page 6. To enter installer setup, you tap the system button once, then you press and hold the third and fifth buttons on the bottom row at the same time until the screen changes. You should now see a 4-digit number on the left with up and down arrows directly to the right of it, and also a 2-digit number on the right with up and down arrows to the right of it. These are the setup function and that function's parameter respectively. Functions 0120 through 0160 are the date and time settings. You can adjust the date and time there anytime you wish. The rest of the functions are system parameters to match to your particular type of system, and we need to ensure some of them are correct for your system type. You press up and down next to the function to go /back. You press up and down next to the parameter to change it. You press down when you are done making changes. These are the ones you need to ensure are set the following way. Function 0170 should be set to parameter 12 for 3 heat/2 cool heat pump with auxiliary heat. Function 0190 should be set to 0, 0. Function 0200 should be set to 0. Function 0340 should be set to 0. Function 0380 should be set to 0. The rest should all be okay where they are at. There are some that are obviously optional for you if you read through the manual. Those are your choice to change. If you have any specific questions on any of the functions, please ask. That should do it. You should press done and your thermostat will be ready to use. You should cycle through all of the system modes to make sure everything works and then enjoy your new thermostat after doing that. It should operate nearly identically to your old one. I will be out of touch for a good share of the day today until late afternoon/early evening. I will check back in to see if you have any more follow-up questions then. Thanks much, Tom. Please reply if you have further questions about this. Otherwise, please remember to rate positively, 3 stars or better, before you leave. Bonuses are welcome and very appreciated. Thank you, Brian. Wow, that's the second time that happened. I was about to send a reply and you did milliseconds before me. Yeah, it's an hour later here in Maine. I just wanted to finish this for you tonight for the reasons I stated above. Have a great night and I'll follow up late tomorrow. Thanks, Tom. Lol, follow up later today, that is Tom.
Brian. Well, I have connected the wiring per your instructions. Nothing. The thermostat doesn't light up or give any readings. Nothing. I have triple checked the wiring. What's next? Tom.
Hi Tom, that's unfortunate. The thermostat should power up with just batteries, so make sure you have fresh batteries properly installed. Secondly, since the thermostat didn't power up when you turned the power onto your air handler, it points to a blown low voltage fuse in the air handler. If you remove the blower panel on the air handler, it should expose the air handler's control circuit board. On the circuit board itself there should be either a 3 or 5 amp ATC fuse on the board. It will be the same type fuse that's used in cars. Chances are that fuse got blown somehow in this process. Check that out and let me know what you find. I only had a quick moment to get online and check my messages this morning and now I have to leave. The thermostat wires are connected properly if you went by my wiring scheme. As long as the air handler is putting out 24 volts, everything should work properly. I will check back in as soon as I can later today. I'm sorry for the continued trouble. Thanks, Brian.
Brian. Checked on the fuses. I can find only one fuse in the air handler. It is not a car-type fuse. This fuse is in its only casing with a screw-top lid. It is a pencil-type fuse, about 1 to 1.5 inches long. Cream color. The wire within the fuse is not visible. The lid has LMF 3.2 at 300 volts written on it. This is the only fuse I find and the only one shown on the wiring diagram. I have not replaced the battery, it looks brand new. Tom.
Tom, yes, that fuse is the low voltage fuse. I guess your particular air handler has the older style fuse. It's kind of an oddball fuse and may be difficult to find. If the fuse will come out of the screw top, some styles did, some didn't, you can use a 5 amp AGC fuse in a pinch. You should be able to find that at Radio Shack. It's a little higher amp draw, but the fuse isn't a time delay fuse, to it basically offers the same protection as the 3.2 amp time delay fuse does. If the fuse won't come out of the screw top, and you find it's blown, you will probably have to order it online. If you have an ohm meter or a resistance scale on your digital multimeter, you should check that fuse for continuity. That is the most obvious cause of what you've got going on. You could also check the fuse by checking for 24 volt AC power at R&C on the new thermostat. If you don't have 24 VAC there, it indicates that fuse is blown. If you do have 24 VAC at R&C at the thermostat and the thermostat still won't power up, unfortunately that indicates a bad thermostat. Let me know what you find. Thanks, Brian. What was the end result? Brian.
Brain. Thanks for staying in touch. The fuse was blown. Replaced it at a local hardware store. The unit lights up and gives direction for setting the clock. After that, the unit settings do not follow either the instructions in the owner's manual or in your written instructions. When the unit is set to cool, the heat comes on. When the unit is set to heat, nothing happens. The wording connecting, which changes to Wi-Fi signal, is lost, and temporary hold are displayed on both cool and heat setting. All we want is the capability to set the thermostat to a desired setting, temperature, and let the unit work. Nothing else. No bells or whistles. Hope you can help, and again, thanks for staying with me on this. Tom.
Hello again, Tom. That's good that you got power to the thermostat and it's working somewhat. You will have to enter the installer setup in the thermostat to tell the thermostat what type system you have. As I alluded to earlier, if you are having trouble getting into the installer setup, some Honeywell thermostats require a password get into it. If the thermostat is prompting you for a 4-digit password, it will be the 4-digit date code of your thermostat. You can find the date code on the back of the thermostat face section. Then you should be able to set the settings I refer to above to get your system to respond properly. In the interim, for cooling, if you temporarily move the orange wire to the Y terminal along with the yellow wire, your system will cool until you get it straightened out. Let me know how it goes and we'll go from there. Thanks, Brian.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/YTHI.